Part 10 of the one and only Ivan. Ivan has a plan. We know he's using his finger paints, and it has something to do with the ad that he saw on the TV. If you remember, the ad was for a zoo. So here we go. It's different now when I paint. I'm not painting what I see in front of me, a banana, an apple. I'm painting what I see in my head, things that don't exist, at least not yet. I pull out Knot Tag's stuffing. Carefully I fill her with my paintings, hiding them so Mac won't sell them. She's large, bigger than Bob, but I still have to crumple a few of them. Bob tried to settle on her for a nap. "You've killed her," he complains. "I had to," I say. "I miss your stomach," Bob admits. "It's so spacious." When Julia arrives, she notices that I've used up my paints and paper. "Wow," Julia shakes her head. "You are one serious artist, Ivan." My finger painting has sold for $40 with the frame. Mac is happy, so he brings me a huge pile of paper and big buckets of paint. "Get to work," he says. I paint for Mac during the day, and I paint for Ruby at night, and I nap when I can. There he is, painting, and that's who he's painting for. But my nighttime picture isn't quite right. It's big, that's for sure. When I place all the pieces on the floor of my cage side by side, the cement is almost completely covered, but something is still missing. Bob says I'm crazy. "There's Ruby," he says, pointing with his nose. "There's the zoo. There are all the other elephants. What's wrong with it?" "It needs one more thing," I say. "Ugh, you're being a temperamental artist," Bob groans. "What could be missing?" I stare at the huge expanse of colors and shapes. I don't know how to explain to Bob that it isn't done yet. "I'll just have to wait," I say at last. "Something will come to me, and then I'll know my painting is finally ready." During the last show of the day, Ruby seems tired. When she stumbles, Mac reaches for the claw stick. I tense, waiting for her to strike back. But Ruby doesn't even flinch. She just keeps plodding along, and after a while Snickers jumps onto her back. I lie in my cage with Bob in my stomach. We're watching Julia do her homework. She doesn't seem to be enjoying it. I can tell because she's sighing more than usual. Again, for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th, I wonder what's missing from my painting. And for the 100th time, or maybe the 1,000th, I don't have an answer. "Dad," Julia says, as George passes by, "can I ask you a question?" "May I?" George corrects. "Ask away." Julia glances down at a piece of paper. What's the difference between the word spelled principal, Principal, and the one spelled principal, Principle? Well, the first one's the head of a school, like Miss Garcia. The second one is a belief that helps you know what's right or wrong. For example, it's against my principles to do my daughter's homework for her. Julia groans. If I'm going to be an artist when I grow up, why do I need to know how to spell? With a laugh, George heads off. Poor Julia, I think. Gorillas get by just fine without learning how to spell. All those endless letters, those sticks and circles and zigzags, filling up books and magazines, billboards and candy wrappers. Words. Humans love their words. I leap up, and Bob goes flying straight into my pool. "A word!" "Ugh, you know how I feel about wet feet," Bob yells. He scrambles out of the water, shaking each foot in dismay. I look out my window at the billboard. I can still hear Mac's voice in my head. "Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, Mighty Silverback." I count to 12, and then I count again, just to be sure. He figured out he needs to add a word. What word do you think it's going to be? Oh! He's counting to 12. Come to the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade. Home. I lay out 16 pieces of poster board, 4 down, 4 across, a perfect square. What are you up to? Bob demands. I'm guessing it doesn't involve sleep. It has to do with the billboard. Oh, that sign's a monstrosity, particularly since I'm not in it. I grab my bucket of red paint. You're not on the billboard because you're not in the show, I point out. Technically, I don't even live here, Bob says with a sniff. I'm homeless by choice. I know, I'm just saying. I study the billboard, and then I make 2 fat lines like broom handles. Another fat line connects them. I stand back. What do you think? Can you tell what he did? He made a ladder. What is it? No, wait, let me guess. A ladder? No, not a ladder, I say. A letter. At least I think that's what they're called. I have to make 3 more. Bob cuddles up next to Knot Tag. Why? He asks, yawning. 'Cause then I'll have a word, a very important word. I dip my fingers into the paint. What word? Bob asks. Home. Home. Bob closes his eyes. Ugh, that's not so important, he says quietly. Or is it? All day long, I knuckle walk circles around my cage. I'm so nervous I can't nap. I can't even eat. Well, not very much anyway. I'm ready to show Julia what I've made. It has to be Julia. She's an artist. Surely she'll truly look at my painting. She won't notice the smudges and tears. She won't care if the pieces don't quite fit together. She'll see past all of it. Surely Julia will see what I've imagined. I watch Ruby trudge sullenly through the 4 o'clock show, and I wonder, what will happen if I fail? What if I can't make her understand? But of course I know the answer. Nothing. Nothing will happen. Ruby will remain the main attraction at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, conveniently located off I-95, with shows at 2, 4, and 7, 365 days a year. Year after year after year. It's time to show my work. The mall is silent except for Thelma, the parrot, who's practicing a new phrase. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Julia is finishing her homework. George is sweeping outside, and Mac has gone home for the night. I grab Knot Tag and carefully pull out the folded papers. So many paintings, page after page, piece after piece of my giant puzzle. I pound on my glass and Julia glances over. Fingers trembling, I hold up one of my paintings. It's brown and green, a corner piece. Julia smiles. I show another picture, and then another, and another, and another, each one a tiny part of the whole. Julia looks confused. But what is it? She asks. She shrugs. It doesn't matter. It's pretty just as it is. Uh-oh, says Thelma. No, it does matter. George calls out to Julia. He's done for the night. Grab your backpack, he says, and hurry, it's late. Gotta go, Ivan, Julia says. She doesn't understand. I have to find the right pieces. I dig through the pile. They're here somewhere. I know they are. I find one. Another one. Another. I try to hold 4 of them up against the glass. Bob, I say, help me. Hurry. Bob grabs paintings with his teeth and drags them to me. One by one, I shove pictures through the window crack. They crumple and tear. There are too many. My puzzle's too big. Careful, Ivan, Julia says. Those might be worth millions someday. You never know. She arranges the paintings into a neat stack. I suppose Mac's going to want to sell these in the gift shop. She still doesn't understand. I shove more out the hole, and more, all of them, one after another. So, Ivan's been painting, has he? George says as he puts on his coat. A lot, says Julia. A whole lot. You're not taking all those home with you, are you? George asks. I mean, no offense to Ivan, but they're just blobs. Julia thumbs through the towering stack of paintings. They might not be blobs to Ivan. Well, let's just leave them by the office, George suggests. Mac will want to try selling them, although why anyone would pay $40 for a finger painting a 2-year-old could do, I don't know. Well, I like Ivan's work, Julia says. He puts his feelings into them. He puts his hair into them, George says. Julia waves goodbye. Good night, Ivan. Night, Bob. I press my nose against the glass and watch her walk away with all my work, all my planning wasted. I look at Ruby sleeping soundly, and suddenly I know she's never going to leave the Big Top Mall. She'll be here forever, just like Stella. I can't let Ruby be another one and only. Oh no. What's going to happen? Find out next time, part 11. Oh, so good.